If I'm a business leader, why should I care about natural systems?
I think I have two answers to it. One is that for the entire 300,000 year interval of human prehistory and history, they've always impinged on what we do and don't do. And so, if you look at changes in weather on a year-to-year basis, changes in climate over a longer period, we know that those changes influence GDP at a national level. We know they influence almost every company that you can imagine. We know they influence global transport, and some aspects of those changes are relatively predictable. And so I think from a corporate perspective, figuring out those predictable elements and bringing them into management, but then also sort of having a box for what are the unpredictable elements. And it's also true of the biological. We know a lot about the biological future. Even though ecologists like me are quick to emphasize what we don't know, there are many features of what's coming in the next years that we can predict. We know that a lot of our crops are going to feel threats from new pathogens and pests. We know that is going to happen. We know that bananas are going to be in trouble and that's going to have cascading effects for every place bananas grow. And so figuring out what are those things that are knowable from the biological and the earth science perspective that are going to impinge on your business, regardless of what you do, and bring those in, because those are challenges, but also opportunities. But I would say the other piece to me that's intriguing, exciting, I'm not quite sure what the right word is that as we become more digital, we've come to ignore the rest of the world to an ever greater extent. And so if you're the business leader that's paying attention, you've got a competitive advantage. And so I was in a meeting where I was talking about future climate risks, and somebody from the World Bank was there. And this person gave a talk in which she talked about risk in the Sahel and said basically nobody could predict that there was going to be political instability in the Sahel, in the sort of northern region of the non-desert part of Africa. And in my slides that followed her, I had queued up a story about the ways in which climate scientists have predicted that the Sahel was going to see political instability and violence as a function of climate change. We know that it will. And we know that India in the coming years is also going to face some of these same kinds of challenges. And so if you're the company that is anticipating that, you can respond. And whether that response is to get out of the Sahel or to help people in the Sahel think about solutions, we see it coming. Lots of companies aren't seeing it coming. The World Bank wasn't seeing it coming. And so if you can be privy to those futures we already have a window into, I think there's an advantage there. And then there's also an advantage in being able to take seriously what we know and to help people at the right scale. That if I think about the Sahel again, a lot of the solutions for the Sahel are right now, well, let's make a slightly more drought tolerant crop. That is an insufficient response relative to the scale of the challenge. And so if we're really going to take seriously what's coming, we need to be thinking in a way more innovative way. And if you're a company that can think about an innovative solution that's going to work in the future of the Sahel, well, that's the kind of innovation that's going to work anywhere else too. And so I think there are real opportunities there in that mix. And because our digital lives are making us ever more blind to the universe, to earth science, to biology, those business managers and leaders that are not blind to those realities have an advantage.